Welcome to the All Ball Show, presented by Abstract Sports, where we bring sports back to life. I'm your host, Kyle Clay 2K. In the All Ball Show, we focus on basketball-only content, and to tip things off, I'm covering every single team in the NBA from worst to best in each conference. I'm going to look at their rosters and discuss how I think they're going to perform this upcoming season. Let's get this episode started with the number 9 team from the Eastern Conference last year, the Detroit Pistons. So the Pistons are a member of the Eastern Conference Central Division. Their head coach is Dwayne Casey. There's a lot of drama that I will cover a lot more in the Toronto Raptors section when we get to the top of the Eastern Conference. He is now the coach of the Detroit Pistons, formerly the coach for the Toronto Raptors. The general manager position is vacant. Apply now. They play at Little Caesars Arena. Okay, let me tell you something. I love me some Little Caesars, okay? I need to go there. I need Little Caesars like right now. I'm actually really hungry. The owner is Tom Gores. They won championships in 1989, 1990, and 2004. So 89 and 90, that came just before Michael Jordan, back when they were a really scary team to play against. So they had Isaiah Thomas and some other guys. But really, they were a good team. I think they were called the Bad Boys. I think that was them. I remember the Pistons as Ben Wallace, Rasheed Wallace, Richard Hamilton, and Chauncey Billups. Like those guys right there, those guys were scary too. A really gritty team who did win a championship back in 2004. The Pistons had a 39-43 record overall, 24-28 in conference play, 25-16 at home, so they actually did really good in the Motor City at home. Dang. 14-27 on the road, though. So let's take a look at the players they had on their roster last year. Again, I'll just rapid fire, just yell some names. Avery Bradley, that's a pretty big name. Reggie Bullock, Dwight Buycks, B-U-Y-C-K-S, that's a fun one. Andre Drummond, one of their stars. Henry Ellenson, James Ennis, Kay Felder, Langston Galloway, Blake Griffin, oh, that's a guy, traded from the Los Angeles Clippers to the Pistons last season. Tobias Harris, Reggie Hearn, Reggie Jackson, Stanley Johnson, Luke Kennard, John Lure, Boban Marjanovic. That dude's huge. He can get boards. He got a triple-double, I think, in a preseason game. At least a double-double, but he killed it. Luis Montero, Eric Moreland, Jameer Nelson, a vet there, Willie Reed, Ish Smith, and Anthony Tolliver. That's a lot of players. 22 players. Wow. Top scorers on that team would be Andre Drummond with 1171. Then you have Ish Smith with 890. Tobias Harris, 860. Anthony Tolliver, 700. Reggie Bullock, 698. And I don't know, I think it must be because some of these guys didn't play an entire season with them, like Avery Bradley. Pretty sure he was with the Celtics most of the time, but he played 40 games. Not very productive for him. Blake Griffin came in with 25 games left in the season, probably right at the trade deadline is when that happened. So he wasn't able to put up a lot of points, but in his 25 games, he still had almost 500 points. So if you think about 25 times 3, that's close to the end of a season. That's 1,500 points. Blake Griffin's going to be a star for those guys. He's going to be a big lift for them in the Eastern Conference. Him going from the West to the East actually makes a lot of sense because the West is pretty packed right now. He can go to the East and make a huge impact on a team like the Detroit Pistons. With LeBron James being gone, that's practically one less team in the way of all these other teams trying to make it up into the playoffs. So I'm really curious to see how the Eastern Conference playoff shakes out this year. But these guys were at the number 9 spot, and I'm sure Blake gave them a big boost there at the end last season. So I think with Blake Griffin, they will probably get in there. Blake Griffin and Andre Drummond, not to be confused with DeAndre Jordan because he was the guy who was with Blake Griffin in Los Angeles, now plays for the Dallas Mavericks. So interesting team to look forward to, these Detroit Pistons, because Blake Griffin, he's a fun guy to watch. He's been explosive his entire career. Some injuries here and there, but for the most part, still pretty explosive. Also developed a three-point shot, something everybody likes to see in this day and age of the NBA. According to their current roster analysis that I looked at, Jose Calderon's going to be there. He was on the Lakers a couple of years ago, really old guy. He's 14th year from Spain. He's had some success in the NBA, and maybe that'll help translate some leadership into the Detroit Pistons. They will have Andre Drummond again. Blake Griffin, like I said, was traded from the Clippers. The thing that confuses me is that Blake Griffin is wearing red, white, and blue again, just like the Clippers were. And both of these teams had very similar colorways with their jerseys, like a flood of red, blue, or white, and then accents of blue and white. So when I see him in a Pistons jersey, I'm like, oh yeah, whatever. It's Blake Griffin doing his thing. And I'm like, oh, it's the Pistons. Holy crap. It kind of catches me off guard every time. Reggie Jackson will be there, and also Zaza Pachulia, a guy who is known for making some dirty plays in the playoffs, playing for the Warriors against the Cavaliers. I mean, he's had some controversial plays, like landing on Russell Westbrook in the playoffs, I think, a couple years ago. He'll also be a big push for them, but they're pretty stacked at the center position, if I do say so myself. So we'll see how those guys do. I'm looking forward to the Pistons. I don't know about you guys. But that does it for this episode of the All Ball Show presented by Abstract Sports. How do you think the Detroit Pistons are going to do this year? Do you think they'll be higher than a 9 seed or lower, or do you think they'll just stay the same? Please let us know in the comments below. And also, if you like this video, be sure to give a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you want to get more basketball content all season long. I'm your host, Kyle Clay 2K. I'll see you in the next one.